tonight on First at 9 this Monday the 29th of December 2025. Stick to the facts. Media outlets could lose licenses for disseminating misleading information, warns the Minister of Health and Mass Media. All-time high. Sri Lanka records the highest ever annual tourist arrivals, surpassing the 2018 record. Education standoff. Teacher-principal unions threaten action if the government extends school hours without consulting education sector unions. Deadly toll. Sri Lanka police reports over 2,600 road accidents so far this year, resulting in over 3,000 fatalities.
Kalin baby soap rupial 90කට. Kalin baby podi හැමෝටමයි.
From Derana, this is Derana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening, you're joining First at 9, brought to you by Sri Lanka's most trusted news source, Derana News Channel. I'm Tarindu Mahendra, joining you live with the latest in Sri Lanka and around the world. We begin with your top story this evening. Train services between Colombo Fort and Chillau on the Puttalam railway line resumed this morning. The line was reopened following the completion of repairs on the section damaged by Cyclone Ditwa within a month's time.
Train services between Colombo Fort and Chillau on the Puttalam railway line resumed this morning after the section damaged by Cyclone Ditwa was repaired within a month. Meanwhile, officials from the National Building Research Organisation and the Railway Department inspected damages to the Ambewala Nanuoya section of the upcountry railway line. We observed the area from Ambewala to Elgin Waterfall today. Based on our assessment and recommendations, we plan to carry out repairs soon. We then intend to focus on repair in the area between Nanuoya and Kotagala. Residents have raised concerns over the historic Niangamdora Rajmaha Vihare in Kotmale and nearby villages which remain at risk of landslides. Authorities are urged to act promptly. Meanwhile, according to the NPP MP Manjula Suravirarachi, repairs to both sides of the Nuwara road have resulted in 3 to 4 million cubic meters of soil being piled up. Currently, we are facing a significant natural issue. We are consulting with geologists to explore how this soil can be utilized for a productive project. The Meteorological Department forecasts occasional showers in northern, eastern and Uva provinces as well as in the Matale, Nuwara and Polonnaruwa districts, with some areas receiving heavy rainfall exceeding 50 millimeters. The government has extended the disbursement period of December pension payments for farmers and fishermen until January 31st due to cyclone-related transportation difficulties. The Agricultural and Agrarian Insurance Board confirmed that December pension can be collected on any working day in January. Currently, 178,753 farmers and 6,312 fishermen receive pensions, with a total of 413 million rupees allocated for December payments.
The 30% discount on Apico Foam and Spring mattresses, available at Apico Supercenter and Apico Daily.
The Derana Relief Mission reached several more disaster-affected areas today to aid school children impacted by the recent adverse weather. The initiative disbursed supplies needed to support the children's return to school. The Derana team, carrying the donations received at the TV Derana head office, visited Gamini Vidyalaya in Palugaswava, Vijayapura to distribute books and school materials directly to the children. Teacher-principal trade unions today submitted a letter opposing the government's decision to extend school hours by 30 minutes for students from grades 6 to 13 from early 2026. General Secretary of the Graded Principals Association, Nimal Mudunkotua, noted that the current curriculum, designed for 40-minute periods, would need to be restructured to suit a 50-minute time frame. He further stated that the Ministry of Education has yet to issue any guidelines to facilitate these changes. The trade unions also warned that union action will be taken if the government proceeds unilaterally without prior consultation with education sector unions.
The 30% discount on Apico Foam and Spring mattresses, available at Apico Supercenter and Apico Daily.
වසරකට ළමුන් 22000කගේ පාසල් ගමන මග නවතිනවා.
එවන් දරුවන් නැවත පාසල් යවන්න අභ්‍යාස පොත් පරිත්‍යාග කරන්න. සෑම පොතකටම ඇට්ලස් පොතක් අපෙන්.
The National Building Research Organisation observes a notable decline in air quality across several parts of the island. Recent data indicates that the air quality level was moderate in most cities during the last 24 hours, while slightly unhealthy levels prevailed in Jaffna, Vaunia and Puttlam. It is forecast that the AQI will be between 56 and 134 during the next 24 hours, indicating moderate levels in most cities, while slightly unhealthy levels will prevail in Jaffna, Vaunia, Puttlam, Polonnaruwa and Anuradhapura. In response, health authorities issued a special advisory urging high-risk individuals, including young children, pregnant women, the elderly and people with respiratory conditions, to remain vigilant and adopt necessary precautions to protect their health. The final rites of music icon Latha Walpola, revered as the Nightingale of Sri Lankan music, will be performed with full state honours on the 31st of December at Independence Square in Colombo. The mortal remains of the eminent musician currently lie in state in Boralla, with thousands of Sri Lankans gathering to pay tribute to the veteran artist.
Sri Lankan music icon Latha Walpola, popularly known as the Nightingale of Sri Lankan music, passed away last Saturday while receiving treatment at Sri Jayawardhanapura Hospital. She was 91 years old at the time of her passing. The mortal remains of the veteran singer lie in state at a private funeral parlour in Boralla, where thousands of Sri Lankans are gathering to pay their final respects. Large crowds, including artists, politicians and the general public, gathered to honour her legacy. Among them were former Presidents Ranil Wickremesinghe and Maithripala Sirisena.
Latha Walpola මහත්මිය කියන්නේ වචනේ පරිසමාප්තාර්ථයෙන්ම ගීත කෝකිලාව තමයි. ඒකේ කතා දෙකක් නැහැ. අපිට උනත් පාර කැපේ ලතා
ඉතින් අපි කුඩා කාලේ බොහොමයක් අයගේ සින්දු අහපු අය මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ ජනාධිපතිතුමා වෙනුවෙන් ශ්‍රී ලංකා පොත්ජන පෙරමුණ වෙනුවෙන් අයගේ ආගමන මුක්තිව ප්‍රාර්ථනා කරනවා.
අපි ඉස්කෝලේ යන කාලේ පවා එතුමියගේ සංගීතයට ඒ කියන්නේ මීට අවුරුදු 50ක විතර ඉඳගෙන මම හිතන්නේ සංගීතය ඇල්මක් දක්වුවා.
මේ පුංචි රටේ මේ වගේ දැවැන්ත චරිතයක් අපිට හරි ආඩම්බරයක්.
ඇය සදාකාලිකව අපේ හිත් තුළ ඉන්නවා. ඇය අමරණීය ගායිකාවක් විදිහට ඉතිහාසගත වෙනවා.
Meanwhile, taking to Facebook, former President Mahinda Rajapaksa expressed his condolences over the passing of the late music icon, stating that an era of Sri Lankan art is coming to an end. The final rites of the late Latha Walpola will be performed on Wednesday, the 31st of December, at Independence Square in Colombo with full state patronage. Following religious observances, her mortal remains will be interred at the Boralla Cemetery.
A group of drivers engaged in app-based passenger transport services today lodged a complaint with the Human Rights Commission of Sri Lanka over injustices faced during their work hours. This followed threats issued against an app-based three-wheeler driver in Alla. Meanwhile, passengers continue to express concerns over alleged exploitation by certain three-wheeler operators, stating that they prefer regulated and institutionalized transport services to avoid such practices. However, three-wheeler drivers voiced their concerns against app-based passenger transport services, claiming that reduced fares have adversely affected their livelihoods. Welcome back to First at 9. Now, opposition leader Sajith Premadasa criticizes the government, claiming that instead of focusing on rebuilding the country after Cyclone Ditwa, it is attempting to undermine the democratic rights of the people. He made these remarks during an event at Aralaganville Regional Hospital in Polonnaruwa.
Under the patronage of opposition leader Sajith Premadasa, the SJB's Husma initiative donated 2.8 million rupees worth of clinical equipment to the Aralaganville Regional Hospital in Polonnaruwa. Taking steps to restore the economic and service activities damaged by Cyclone Ditwa is crucial for the country's economic development. If relief is not provided to affected business owners and self-employed individuals, the overall economic process will suffer, impacting the entire nation. It is the government's responsibility to provide timely relief to those who deserve it. We hear that there are delays and reasons being sought for not providing the promised assistance to many whose homes, properties and businesses have been damaged. We urge the government not to do this. Please take the necessary measures to provide the promised relief to the rightful beneficiaries without further delay.
Minister of Health and Mass Media Dr. Nalinda Joyathis emphasises that any media outlet broadcasting misleading information on national security, the economy and public health will face strict consequences as outlined in their broadcasting licences. Speaking at an event today, the minister reminded that the government holds the legal authority to recall the licences of media outlets found in breach of broadcasting standards.
The Health Cry 2025 Health Communicators Appreciation Ceremony was held today at the Bureau of Health Promotion in appreciation of the service of journalists dedicated to improving the general public's knowledge of health. The event saw the attendance of Minister of Health and Mass Media Dr. Nalinda Joyathis.
This is no time for triviality. The progress of this field relies heavily on public trust alongside several other critical factors. It is essential that news is reported with accuracy and transparency. As a government, we will not condone any deviation from this standard. The Ministry of Mass Media is responsible for issuing licenses to all television channels currently operating in the country. However, these licenses are provincial and contingent upon compliance with specific conditions. The Ministry of Mass Media holds the authority to recall the license of any media outlet that disseminates false information, particularly on matters of public health, national security or the national economy. Should any channel broadcast misleading information regarding public health, we will enforce the conditions outlined in their license agreement. Such measures are vital for the nation's progress. Without public confidence in our health sector, advancing as a country becomes significantly more challenging.
සෞඛ්‍ය සම්බන්ධයෙන් විශ්වාසය රටේ ජනතාවගේ බිඳ වැටුනොත් එතන ඉහට පුත් කරන්න බෑ.
Meanwhile, several public representatives commented on the role of the media and statements made by the government.
The duty of the media is to report information through news. If the government believes that such reporting causes it difficulties or inconvenience, that thinking is wrong. The government should not move toward media suppression. In international research, it has been shown that leaders who are obsessed with power are hurt more when media platforms expose their incompetence to the public than when they are accused of corruption, thuggery or even murder. This is exactly what has happened today. The responsibility lies with the government, not media institutions. Our economy collapsed. People took to the streets and presidents were forced to leave office, yet at no point was the media suppressed through government officers. We are living in an era that upholds media freedom both locally and internationally. This move is nonsensical. Those who once inflicted severe abuse on the media, kidnapped journalists, attacked media institutions and even killed journalists are the ones shedding fake tears today. We have no issues with the media or media institutions. However, the media too must adhere to the laws of the country that apply equally to everyone. If media institutions commit personal insults, there are established institutions to enforce the law. We urge the government not to interfere with media institutions. Is the government trying to shut down media outlets that point out its shortcomings and criticize it and only allow those that support the current government to remain operational? I have served as the head of a media institution and also worked as a journalist. The institution I worked for was bombed while stones were thrown by Mervyn Silva. That is the situation we faced. Therefore, do not even think about suppressing the media.
So far this year, 3,009 people have died in road accidents across the country. Police say road accidents have increased compared to 2024, with drugs and alcohol identified as the main contributing factors.
2,692 road accidents have been reported in Sri Lanka so far this year, resulting in 3,009 deaths. Police say the number of fatalities has increased by 317, alongside an increase of 147 road accidents compared to the same period last year.
පුද්ගලයෙක් අසු වෙනවා මත්පැන් පානය කරලා එතකොට ඒ පුද්ගලයාගේ පරීක්ෂා කිරීම ওই දේවල් කොච්චර කාලයක් ඇතුළත වගේ කරන්නේ ඔහුව අල්ලගත්ත ගමන්ම පරීක්ෂා කරන්න ඕනේද ඊට පස්සේ පැය 3ක් 4ක් ගියාට පස්සේද නැත්නම් පැය 12ක් ගියාට පස්සේද පැය 24ක් ගියාට පස්සේද
නෑ එහෙම එකක් නෑනේ අල්ලගත්ත ගමන්මනේ දැන් පැය 24ක් ගිහලා පරීක්ෂා කළා දෙයක් නෑනේ අල්ලගත්ත ගමන් තමයි පරීක්ෂා කරන්නේ
ඒක එතකොට ඒ රංග වලට උනේ නැත්තේ
මේ සම්පූර්ණ පොලිසියන්ගේ බරපතල පරාජයකාරී පැහැරීමක්.
There has been a serious neglect of duty by the police officer concerned and the officer in charge of the traffic division. Those officers are expected to be fully aware of their responsibilities and carry out their duties properly. Disciplinary action will be taken against those officers following an investigation conducted under the supervision of the Inspector General of Police.
රාජකාරී කරනවා.
ඒ කියන්නේ සපුගස්කන්ධ පොලිසිය ඇත්තටම බැලුම් තිබුණාද?
සපුගස්කන්ධ පොලිසිය බැලුවේ.
Breathalyzers were not available at the Sabugaskanda police station at the time. However, they could have obtained one from a nearby police station if they had chosen to do so. Additionally, a forensic medical officer was available at the hospital. A breathalyzer is not strictly necessary in such cases, as a medical examination can also determine intoxication.
රංගල මහත්තයාගේ ඔය වෛද්‍ය පරීක්ෂණය සිදු කළ දිනේ කොච්චර වෙලාවකට පස්සේද?
The Special Investigation Division is currently conducting an inquiry into this matter. All relevant details will be revealed once the investigation report is complete. Meanwhile, during the unveiling ceremony of a newly constructed Buddha statue at Sri Janarathanarame in Udhamulla, the Inspector General of Police commented on the drug menace. This year, we have recorded the highest number of narcotic seizures in the history of Sri Lanka, along with a significant number of weapons and ammunition. We have also arrested several police officers, Triforces personnel, teachers, and regrettably, some members of the clergy. When we examine these arrests, many involved individuals from institutions that are meant to guide society in the right direction. All of these arrests are related to crimes or narcotics. Narcotics cause far more damage than what is immediately visible. It is our children who are being destroyed, and we must take every possible step to prevent this.
Welcome back to First at 9. Today, 2025 became the year in which Sri Lanka welcomed the highest number of tourists in the nation's history. As of today, total tourist arrivals reached 2,333,797, surpassing all previous annual records.
The earlier record was set in 2018 when Sri Lanka received 2,333,796 tourists. 7 years later, that milestone was officially surpassed with the arrival of the 2,333,797th visitor. The record-breaking arrivals were 3 Indian nationals who travelled to Sri Lanka from Thiruvananthapuram, India. The Indian visitors received a special reception at the Silk Road passenger terminal at Bandaranaike International Airport, held under the patronage of Deputy Minister of Tourism, Professor Ruwan Ranasinghe. Felix Pereira, a university professor from Kerala, his wife Rina Fernandez, a retired school teacher, and their daughter Dr. Anne Christina were the visitors whose arrival ushered in this historic moment in Sri Lanka's tourism sector.
It gave me a surprise because I've heard of Sri Lanka many times because I'm from Kerala. We thought we'll visit our neighbor country, Sri Lanka, and even some of my colleagues are from Sri Lanka. Tourism is a backbone of the economy of this country. I hope that the tourism in this country will develop.
Previously, the highest number of tourist arrivals was recorded in 2018. This year, that record has been surpassed. We believe we can further increase arrivals next year. At the same time, it is important to attract tourists with higher spending potential. With these plans in place, we expect to exceed this year's tourist arrival numbers in 2026.
Sri Lanka's apparel industry recorded $4.57 billion worth of cumulative exports during the first 11 months of 2025, marking a 5.42% year-on-year growth. However, in November 2025, total apparel exports declined marginally by 1.96% compared to November last year.
Sri Lanka's total apparel exports for November 2025 amounted to $367.6 million, a 1.96% decrease from $374.94 million in November 2024. The Joint Apparel Association Forum noted that monthly performance showed mixed results across key markets. Exports to the United States and the European Union increased while shipments to the United Kingdom and other markets declined. Despite the monthly dip, the forum said cumulative apparel exports from January to November 2025 demonstrated solid growth, reaching $4.57 billion, reflecting a 5.42% year-on-year increase. Commenting on export performance, Jobs says the growth in cumulative exports during the first 11 months of 2025 reflects the resilience and adaptability of Sri Lanka's apparel sector and highlights the success of the strategic focus and strengthening relationships with key buyers, particularly in the European Union.
The Colombo Bourse regained positive momentum today as a result of price gains in counters such as Colombo Dockyard, Hatton National Bank and Richard Pearce & Company. The benchmark ASPI gained 0.29% to close at 22,132.33, while the more liquid S&P Sri Lanka 20 decreased by 0.06% to end the day at 6,037.79. Market turnover was 3.7 billion rupees. Foreign participation in market activity remained at subdued levels, with foreigners closing as net sellers, offloading shares worth 200 million rupees. Up next, we have Musharraf Ibrahim from Capital Alliance in our next segment, Markets in View.
The SPI ended the week at 22,068 points, a marginal dip of 0.36%. Similarly, the S&P SL20 index finished at 6,041 points, representing a slight decline of 0.25%. Reflecting the slow pace of the holiday-shortened week, total weekly turnover fell to 12.4 billion rupees. Meanwhile, the last Treasury bill auction raised 82.4 billion rupees, with yields across all maturities increasing by several basis points.
And with that, here's a look at today's foreign exchange rates. That's all for tonight from First at 9. Thank you for joining. Have a great night.